Good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, or whenever you're watching this. So, this is me back to Windmill again, but this time with the Stellar match group, which is Steve Heath and Ellen Heath. They run the matches. Now, I have drawn peg 18. Now, to be fair, last time I drew 18, I think that was one of Heath's matches as well. It's a Stellar match group, which is open to anybody, so it's not a closed book. You just got to join it on the Facebook page. I'm pretty sure I won off this. So obviously, great peg. Got to be a good peg if I win off it. So I've started long, and I remember feeding tiny bits of ground bait and maggots basically. So I'm using the big pot, so the pot on the end of the pole doesn't spook them, doesn't cast so much of a shadow, because the water's really shallow on the far bank, and then carp unbelievably come right up in it. So when we say shallow, we're talking like 8-10 inches max. So yeah, very shallow for them big fish to get in at depth of water. They must like swimming like sideways or something. No, I've got a big pot. Just because you've got a big pot doesn't necessarily mean you have to fill it up. I guess like if you've got a big tank, as in a car tank, you don't necessarily go to the petrol station and have to fill it up. Anyway, so you can see I don't know how many maggots was there, maybe 30. So basically it's just like a palm of ground bait, hardly anything. It's almost just like an attractor just to get them in the peg. I really do like the seafood range of ground bait. I've been using it for years. It's not like I've just started using it and telling everybody how good it is. I've used it since launch. So just literally just cut that in. Happy days. I'm not joking. Before, and sometimes when you fish like in this real shallow water, time you ship back, literally they're on it, like straight away. And what's frustrating is as soon as you like ship your pole across, sometimes they just back away and stuff, which could be a nightmare. Now, some tricks are like to fish a real long line, but it can be really awkward with vegetation, and if there's ripple, then I don't think the line needs to obviously be as long, because you've got the ripple on top of the water is gonna obviously hide your pole better. But today is a bit awkward really. I didn't fish a real short line, because ideally you want to fish a real short line, poke it underneath the vegetation, simple. But I feel if you do that, you ain't gonna get nowhere near as many bites. The only issue is with me fishing a longer line, a few times I've got caught in the stingers, and my John Walton flush has come flying across the lake. So no casualties on that. So be careful when you obviously up far bank and stuff like that, and use a rag over your hands and try and make sure you put it away from your gear and away from you, because the last thing you want to do is end up having a float stuck in your hand or knuckle or anything like that. Actually, I had a float once go into my knuckle years ago, a wire tip float. That was a long time ago, because I was an idiot. I was young and I pulled it towards me and it went straight in my knuckle. But anyway, that's another story, going off on a tangent. So tried short, 5 meters, ain't caught. Got had a few bubbles in that. So obviously fish rooting around. And I hope to catch to my left, but because that plumbed up really nice, to be honest. I don't know why, but the fish definitely wanted to be to the right. No two ways about it. So I've had two carp in the first 4 hours, and then literally 2 hours to go ish. Whatchamacallit, I've gone down the edge. It might have been even just less than 2 hours going down the edge. I fed it just before, about 10 minutes before, big potted some micros and corn, and fair play, they were pretty much almost straight on it. And I pretty much put it like almost in the reeds, because I figured that if I'd done that, they would bang the reeds around and stuff when they're rooting around to get it. So therefore that would mean that it, give it away that they were there. And to be fair, it was that solid towards the end. So like the last sort of like 45 minutes, they actually started like rooting it up. So they're actually colouring the water. Now bearing in mind, it's like 3.5 foot. And the other thing that made me laugh, and obviously I'd never get this on camera on my own, is I had a tail come out of the water down the edge to my right. And like I say, it's 3.5 foot of water. And I'm not saying that fish is 3.5 foot long, I'm not saying that. Obviously that fish is inverted and it's feeding. It was big, so the tail was massive. Unfortunately I didn't catch it. But as you can see, they give you the runaround. So this is, like I say, not for the faint-hearted. Definitely need some real strong gear. So I'm just using my Browning kits because they fit my Maver pole and they fit my Shimano pole, so happy days. And just fishing a 4mm elastic through a short kit. And you can see that they're running me around. This fish is not foul looked, and it's not a common actually. This is a great big mirror, and it's like basically wrapped me around a reed. And I don't want to pull too hard, like steady, gently sort of approach. Hopefully it's going to come out, which it did ish. Sort of like wrapped itself around a little bit. Definitely ain't got the cutest of bums, that's for sure. A bit of a wiggle. I nailed it tail to head, so made sure I got it in the net properly. I'd probably say that's probably 12 pound, I would have thought. You can see my flow is right against the stump though. So, like I say, the last couple of hours was steady away, all on one line. I did feed to the left, and I did feed short, because obviously it gives you options. As in, I thought this line was going to die. I didn't expect it to last the duration of the match, which it did. And I think when that happens, you tend to have good red letter days, if I could speak properly. And obviously that's been one of them days. So yeah, really good. If you've never been to Windmill before, I would suggest going. Even if you're not a match angler, go pleasure fishing. I think you would really enjoy it. And obviously, if you are like the competitive side of fishing, then they run matches on a Thursday and on a Sunday. So have a look on their website and you'll be able to get yourself booked in.
Wow, what can I say? What a great day. 5th time lucky. So the last few matches at Windmill I have struggled a little bit. They're just like, the weights are so tight. Like even like A section today, there's like 5 people that probably come away from it thinking, gosh, I could have won that section. Like Alistair's won the section, but then you look at Andy Black, Jerry, Ellen, you know, all easily could have won the section. Especially the fish are probably averaging, wow, the munters down the edge are probably averaging about £8, and then the normal carp against the far bank probably £4-5. Some of them are absolute torpedoes, and I do mean torpedoes. So how have I caught? Well, to be honest with you, it's a real simple match. I've caught feeding very little ground bait and maggots across. Well, I tried to. When I say caught, I've had 2 fish in the first 4 hours and lost probably, I don't know, 6. Just pulled out, not got broke. Don't mess around there with light gear. On the far bank, just fished 0.22 straight through. Don't see the point of messing around. Otherwise, these fish are just going to break you. End of. So yeah, so 0.22 to a 2.4 elastic, so a hybrid. So because on the far bank there's no real snags. The only thing I could have maybe struggled with is maybe if I had a few like crazy ones that would try and take me into the reed. So with that, if you've got a peg like this, if you fish this venue, if you're new to it, like ship back, break down to your top 5, make sure they don't have no sudden lunges, and also you can then have 2 sections behind you when you break down to your top kit, because sometimes what will happen is you get the fish to the top kit, even if you've got real strong gear, stripping away, and then it goes crazy. Then obviously if it's at a horrible angle and you ship the whole pole back 16 meters, you're not going to be able to get that number 4 section onto your top kit, are you? So it's much better to have them 2 sections. Trust me, I've learned the hard way. So yeah, so feeding seafood, ground bait, like nice and wet, and then just a few maggots. Happy days. Didn't feed any micros. I did try and put some micros in when I was struggling, and to be fair, probably that time of day and that they just switched off. This lake is very notorious for switching off. So you catch normally a few idiot fish to begin with, and then you might go literally a couple of hours. You hear lots of anglers like, "Hey, I didn't have a bite for 2.5 hours." Well, that is the case. It's stacked full of fish. It really is, and I am paid or sponsored or anything to say that. I think there's a lot of fish in that lake. I just think they're clued up with the reeds, and when all the anglers all start at the same time in matches, then obviously they're just wise fish. Anyway, got off on a bit of tangent, and then caught down the edge. Now I caught down the edge to the right, which I thought I would have caught better to the left. So it just shows, you know, you've got to be a little bit flexible in your approach. It's quite deep down the edge, and I think this is why paced. The fish are quite big, and also you got to really think what you're thinking down. You got to really think what you're feeding down the edge. No point feeding like ground bait and maggots, because they're just going to waft it everywhere and there's just going to be carnage in them deeper pegs. Now don't get me wrong, in the shallower pegs you'll be able to do that, no doubt, but you got to fish to what you're confident in. I think if you're really good at fishing meat, then meat down the edges might be really good, well, will be good. Some anglers do catch on meat. And then obviously corn's a good bait. So for me, feeding basically corn and pellets down the edge, and yeah, I didn't feed loads. I think big potting's got to be really careful on this venue. Big potting, I see a few anglers like big pot, especially like 3 hours in, ain't caught, right, let's make it happen, let's put a big pot in, which I'm definitely guilty of doing in lots of matches in the past, and obviously the fish just swim round it. So I think it can be a venue where you need to endure, if that makes sense, and obviously be quite flexible in your approach. Gear wise down the edge, not for the faint hearted. 4mm elastic through a short kit, and then very strong line, insanely strong line down the edge. Gotta use an eye hook, just use the knotless knot, because the line's too thick to tie a spade on it. If you tie a spade hook, it's just gonna peel off all day long, even with super glue and all the rest of it. So yeah, I hope that helps. I feel like I'm rabbiting on, and I'm not really a rabbiter. I would like you to like the video if you've enjoyed it, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Normally I never ask, I've got loads of videos. If you've done a percentage of me asking to like and subscribe, it'd probably be like, I don't know, way less than 10% of me asking. So I'm asking today, because it does help. I noticed on some of my videos where I've asked people to like and subscribe, and that it definitely helps the algorithm and all this to show more people. So yeah, I think I will start giving my YouTube channel maybe a bit more of a push. So yeah, so look out for some decent content, hopefully. Try and film some other anglers as well, make it a bit more interesting, because I appreciate when you've only got one camera on a tripod, watching me could be a little bit boring. Anyway, tight lines, I'll catch you soon, take care, bye.